What do you think when you see perfect circles floating silently in the middle of the ocean? Strange military installations, underwater research stations, or just mysterious structures lost at sea? 2 million salmon, from one of the world's most consumed species, are being raised inside these floating steel rings. Not as an experiment, not as a pilot program, but to fuel a global aquaculture industry generating over $1 billion annually. From Norwegian fjords, where robots monitor every fish movement, to Chilean waters, where salmon grow faster than anywhere on Earth, to Scottish sea locks, where traditional methods meet cutting-edge technology. Have you ever wondered how that perfectly pink salmon fillet travels from the middle of the ocean to your dinner plate? Join us as we dive into the invisible industry, transforming how humanity harvests the sea. Where floating cities of steel house millions of fish, where technology battles nature's fury, and where a single company can control enough protein to feed entire nations. From above, they look like small dots scattered across the ocean's surface. But zoom closer, and these floating structures reveal themselves as massive industrial operations, each cage measuring up to 200 feet in diameter, descending 100 feet into the dark water below. At the center of this revolution is Atlantic salmon. Not only a cultural icon from Norwegian fjords and Scottish rivers, but also the second most farmed fish globally, worth nearly $40 billion worldwide. These ocean pens represent a fundamental shift, opening a new era where the sea becomes farmland, and fish become crops harvested on schedule. Each circular pen can hold up to 200,000 salmon, swimming in carefully controlled density. Underwater cameras track their behavior 24/7. Sensors monitor oxygen levels, water temperature, and current strength every 60 seconds. Automated feeding systems dispense precisely calculated pellets, high-protein mixtures of fish meal, vegetable oils, and vitamins, releasing food only when fish show hunger patterns. It's like a smart factory, except the product swims. Thanks to technology, farmers know exactly when disease appears, when parasites attack, when stress levels rise. Biology, engineering, and data analytics combine to create what scientists call precision aquaculture. Growth rates are optimized. Feed conversion ratios, how much food produces how much fish, are predicted weeks in advance. Mortality is reduced to below 3% in the best facilities. The world currently consumes 2.5 million tons of farmed Atlantic salmon annually. Norway alone produces 1.3 million tons worth over $12 billion, making salmon the country's third largest export after oil and gas. Scotland contributes 200,000 tons. Chile exports 850,000 tons to 90 countries. From upscale sushi restaurants charging $50 per roll to grocery store fillets at $12 per pound. Salmon has become ubiquitous, not only because of its taste and omega-3 content, but because ocean farming delivers consistent quality, year-round supply, and price stability that wild fisheries never could. This is industrial efficiency meeting ancient hunger, and it's printing money. But what if we tried farming a creature that doesn't play by the rules? If salmon are the obedient students of ocean agriculture, then sea bass and sea bream are the wild rebels, Mediterranean natives that refuse to be tamed easily. These fish don't stay still. They're aggressive, territorial, fast-swimming predators that demand space. From the coast of Greece to the shores of Turkey, from Spanish waters to Croatian bays, farmers battle to keep these warriors contained. The process doesn't start from eggs alone. Wild juveniles are still captured in many operations, then transferred to grow-out cages measuring 160 feet across and 80 feet deep. Like underwater stadiums holding up to 100,000 fish. Here they're fattened on specially formulated feeds for 18 to 24 months, growing from fingerlings to market-sized fish weighing 1 to 2 pounds. Standard European sea bass sells for $7 to $12 per kilogram at wholesale. But premium specimens, those raised in pristine Greek waters with optimal fat content, command $25 per kilogram in high-end markets. Greece alone produces 60,000 tons annually, worth over $400 million. Turkey adds 120,000 tons. Spain contributes another 80,000 tons. But behind this profitable model are unanswered questions. These species still require wild-caught juveniles or complex hatchery protocols. Disease spreads rapidly in crowded pens. Environmental concerns about excess feed and waste plague Mediterranean operations. Yet the market keeps growing, spurring research into better breeding programs and more sustainable cage designs. If sea bass are Mediterranean warriors, the next creature has a completely different personality. Quiet, slow-growing, but capable of producing something worth its weight in silver. We're talking about barramundi, the Asian sea bass, raised not in high-tech Norwegian pens, but in rustic bamboo-framed cages floating across Southeast Asian waters. From Vietnam's Mekong Delta to Indonesia's coastal villages to Malaysian river estuaries, small-scale farmers are conquering one of the most profitable fish-per-pound ratios in warm-water aquaculture. Each traditional cage holds 5,000 to 15,000 fish, tended by families who've perfected the art through generations. But these fish are finicky. They're susceptible to heat stress when water exceeds 95 degrees. They're sensitive to current changes. They're vulnerable to oxygen depletion during storms, when juvenile fish are transitioning from fresh to saltwater, a critical period farmers call the molt. An entire cage can be wiped out within hours if conditions shift. Young barramundi are treated like newborns, monitored constantly, fed multiple times daily, protected from predators both above and below water. But if you overcome the challenge, the reward is substantial. Market-size barramundi, 2 to 6 pounds, sells for $8 to $15 per kilogram wholesale, with premium specimens reaching $25 in Australian and American markets. It's both a luxury on restaurant tables and hope for fishing families earning annual incomes from single cages. Vietnam produces over 30,000 tons annually, worth nearly $300 million, with major exports to the United States, Europe, and Australia. From fragile bamboo nets in tropical rivers to white tablecloths in Manhattan, that's the journey. So how do you raise a valuable product without expensive feed, without disease risk, without high-tech monitoring systems, and still generate billions in revenue? The answer floats quietly in the same waters. Mussels. No robots, no food, no surveillance cameras. Mussels dangle from ropes beneath floating rafts, filtering ocean water naturally, eating microscopic plankton that costs nothing. They provide protein to humanity while simultaneously performing environmental services, purifying water, removing excess nutrients, fighting coastal pollution. A single mussel filters up to 15 gallons of water per day, removing nitrogen, phosphorus, and particles that would otherwise fuel harmful algal blooms. They're nature's biofilter, turning environmental problems into edible solutions. From Spain's Rias to China's coastal bays to Prince Edward Island's cold waters, mussel farmers are growing food while restoring ecosystems. Global production exceeds 2 million tons annually. China leads with 750,000 tons. Spain produces 250,000 tons from Galicia alone. Those iconic wooden platforms called bateas, each holding up to 500 ropes, each rope yielding 20 to 40 pounds of mussels after 12 to 18 months. The farming method is almost prehistoric in its simplicity. Hang ropes, wait, harvest. No pollution, no waste, no ecological footprint, just patient cultivation. Yet this humble shellfish generates over $4 billion globally. No fuss, no fanfare, but playing a big role in both food security and ocean health. But if mussels are the ocean's quiet servants, then our final creature is its crowned aristocrat, a slow-living species that takes longer to mature than some humans take to finish college. We're talking about bluefin tuna, not the small yellow fin you see in cans, not the albacore in supermarket sushi, but the largest, fastest, most valuable fish in the sea, Pacific bluefin, that can weigh 600 pounds and swim at 40 miles per hour. The fish that sushi connoisseurs worship. The fish that can sell for $1.8 million at Tokyo's Toyosu market auction. Farming these giants takes audacity. The process begins not with eggs, but with wild capture. Juvenile tuna are caught, then transferred to massive offshore pens measuring 200 feet in diameter and 100 feet deep, holding up to 15,000 fish. Here, for 6 months to 3 years, they're fattened on a diet of sardines, mackerel, and squid, consuming 20 to 30 pounds of feed to produce just 1 pound of tuna. The operation resembles military precision. Divers enter cages to inspect fish health. Every feeding is monitored. Wasted food sinks uneaten, and wasted food means wasted profit. When tuna reach target weight, 150 to 600 pounds, they're harvested using techniques borrowed from Japanese tradition. Killed instantly to preserve meat quality, then flash frozen at -70°C degrowth within hours. payoff? Premium bluefin tuna belly, O Toro, in Japanese, sells for $300 to $600 per kilogram in Tokyo. Entire fish auction for $100,000 to $300,000 regularly. It's a living bank where hope, investment, and risk swim together in steel-ringed circles. Japan leads tuna farming with 15,000 tons annually. Mexico's Baja California grows another 5,000 tons. Australia, Spain, and Croatia operate smaller operations. But every facility faces the same truth. Bluefin cannot yet reproduce in captivity at commercial scale. Every farmed tuna begins as a wild-caught juvenile, making this a fattening industry, not true aquaculture. The fish require pristine water, oxygen above 6 mmRel, temperature between 59 degrees and 77 degrees, currents strong enough to flush waste, but gentle enough not to stress the animals. Modern facilities deploy 24/7 sensor networks, ultrasound for health monitoring, even hormone testing to track growth. It's pharmaceutical-grade precision for fish, and it's all happening in open ocean, where storms, predators, and equipment failure can destroy millions in investment overnight. $2 million salmon, hundreds of thousands of sea bass, countless barramundi in bamboo cages, millions of mussels on ropes, thousands of bluefin tuna in steel rings, all floating in wind and waves, spread across oceans from Norway to Chile to Vietnam to Japan. But inside these structures is something more than just fish and shellfish. Inside is technology meeting tradition. Inside is humanity's attempt to feed 9 billion people without emptying the oceans. Inside are solutions, imperfect, controversial, evolving, to one of civilization's oldest challenges. Where will tomorrow's protein come from? Perhaps the future of food isn't at the bottom of the sea, where wild fish dwindle. Perhaps it's floating on the surface, shaped like hope, growing one generation at a time. Which surprised you most? The $1.8 million tuna, the filter-feeding mussels, or the floating salmon cities? Drop your answer in the comments below and click subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into the hidden industries feeding the world, where every meal tells a story you never imagined.